Chicago gave the railroads all this prime riverfront land, making us the railroad hub of America. You could not take, see, back then one train from New York to California. You had to change trains from Chicago and leave a little money behind for breakfast, lunch, or hotel. Air rights means you are free to build, but you must lease the air. You must buy the air from the railroad and stay out of the way. That's why 150 North Riverside has such a unique design. You have railroad tracks on the west, the river on the east, and only a 2-acre footprint. Now, no one knew what to do here for 30 years until this very innovative firm, Getz & Partners, completes this 2017 building. You see how they solved the problem of the small space. They're only using 20% of the base, 80% for the park, hand to lever or cut in, and then step Wait a minute though, my friends. If you're going to cut away your outer support walls, what's really holding that building up? You know, I think they're working on the same principle I've been trying to get back to with all my yoga and Pilates. A strong central core. It's the core that's holding this building up. When you look at a skyscraper, do not always consider just what you can see. What don't you see? The columns going down are called caissons, watertight box-like structures filled with concrete. And because the Great Lakes and Chicago were carved out by glaciers, the soil, the dirt here is very soft. So if you want to anchor a building in Chicago, you better listen to the rocker Jeff Beck. You better drill down, down, down to the ground. They drilled down to bedrock, that's 110 feet, and drop them 5 feet deeper into the stone. That anchors that building. Now, Getz & Partners is also very busy finishing up the new Bank of America building, topping out at 815 feet. Largest concrete pour downtown for 30 years. They tore down the 1950s building here called General Growth. It was very industrial looking. It was modeled after our river barges. And in the 50s, we did not know what a gem we had with the river. The building turned its back to the river, was right up against it, no room for a river wall. I do not think anyone cried too much when they tore it down. However, the Army Corps of Engineers was working on this project, and they said, you know, that old building had historical significance. Could you try to honor that? And they did. Those corrugated steel plates right at eye level, those are the walls of the buildings they tore down. They salvaged them, gave them a little bit of a second life as part of the design. I love to see new architecture nod to the old, because sometimes to understand where you're going in this life, my friends, it never hurts to look back at where you have been. Now look on either side of you for great Art Deco. America's attitude, forget the European handcrafted model. With Art Deco, we wanted everything to look streamlined like it was milled in a machine. That's the Daily News building, first building off of Public Plaza. And look at this beautiful opera building on our left, the Civic Opera Building. It is a perfect marriage of pragmatism and art. Starting with a 3,500-seat opera house, but to be practical, surrounding it with business towers, so if the opera does not do too well, it is rentable and still has revenue coming in. Civic Opera building with a V instead of a U. Notice that? They're interchangeable. That's a pre-16th century Latin alphabet. They only have 23 letters. Please remember that if you read the Italian novelist Umberto Eco's novel, In the Name of the Rose, and it will help you solve the mystery. Now in 1930, after Art Deco, what happens in architecture in America? Nothing at all for 25 years. Almost a complete standstill, because I think you can guess, the Great Economic Depression followed by World War II. It is the post-war years when Mies van der Rohe and the modernists really come into their own. And by 1965, as we come to this air-rich project called Gateway Center, we're now fully blown into modernism. You can see the Amtrak and Metro trains down here sometimes. Now, looking forward, this is a time machine, the evolution of modern architecture over 30 years. So I'm going to set the time machine dial to 1965 and 67. I will check the radio from time to time to see if we are right in the right time era. Okay, let's check it. Superman or Green Lantern, ain't God nothing on me. We're definitely in the 1960s. And that means your Miesian pure modernism. Strip your building down to skeleton, skin, and space. Let us turn the dial on the time machine forward into the 1970s. That's a quote on the Western Bay. Okay, we're in the 70s, and that takes us to international style with Gateway 3. You see the white building coming up?